Oh yeah, yeah, no, I get that. I'm just saying, look at the first three on the second page. It's like
Oh,
only at the prices. You know what I mean?
Oh,
oh
I
And
yeah, yeah,
see.
no,
every other one is like an entire.
Tolks is reading the fucking prices.
yeah, you're right, you're right, you're right, you're right. I screwed
That's
this up.
that's what I was
I
asking about.
screwed
Every
this
other
one
one
up.
is
Oh
like an
damn!
Tolks is
entire.
the fucking price guy,
Hold on,
bro.
let me redo.
Hey, Z, we could just call him the analytics master
No, it's
of
just
the.
that one. Coming at you all the way from Arbitrum, it's the Magic Hour podcast.
This is Alan.
Dionysus.
And Breaker. Produced by Digital Strategies Guild. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a collaboration here tonight. We're here with Tolks and Terv0 of Page One and Round Tripping, the newsletters sponsored by the One Discord. You know, we know these guys a long time. We're really happy to have them on the pod. Guys, welcome. Welcome.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, happy to be here. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So what we're going to do for this pod, this is something new for us, but what we're going to do is we're going to give you Page One, number 35, the Gang Learned Sudo Swap. This one was from August 10th or 16th. We're going to read you the whole Page One. You get all the news that was reported in easily digestible format over the audio medium. And then after that, we're going to have a little roundtable discussion covering a couple topics, ethmerge, the various NFT marketplaces, and I believe one of NFT projects in Page One. So listen in if you want to get into some interesting discussion later. But let's get right into it. News and notes. Aliens top volume charts, but sink after reveal. After a week of trading that saw over 6,000 ETH in volume and a high floor price of 0.9 ETH, the aliens have declined over the past few days. Collection features one-of-ones from popular and up-and-coming crypto artists, including Ack, Gremplin, and Hackatow. Its decline likely speaks more to the state of the current market than the state of the project, despite topping weekly volume charts. Maintaining any kind of attention is difficult at the moment. Go.
All right. CryptoPunks and Meebits get new IP rights agreements. After being acquired by Yuga Labs in late 2021, CryptoPunks and Meebits have received an updated IP rights agreement. The new agreements are very similar, each granting a holder of said NFT a license to use the token's artwork in commercial endeavors. The agreement stops short of granting token holder ownership of said IP, with those rights instead remaining with Yuga Labs. Meebits also welcomed Danny Green as their new brand lead.
And NFT TIFF, as far as the pronunciation goes on my part, redemption window closes with 32 unredeemed. Tiffany's debut NFT project has been an interesting ride. After minting for 30 ETH, the project quickly went below mint on secondary markets. While anyone could mint an NFT TIFF, only CryptoPunk holders could redeem the token for a real pendant, and they only had 1 week to do so. This constricted timeline certainly contributed to their secondary price. 218 of the 250 tokens were redeemed for the pendant, leaving 32 unredeemed. It's unknown whether these unredeemed NFT TIFFs will hold some kind of utility in the future, but for now it leaves their strategy looking a bit questionable.
The potatoes in meme land will soon grow. In a tweet posted last Friday, Memeland shared a few more details about the upcoming Stake to Win feature of the Potatoes collection. The contract is ready pending an audit, and their website has been updated with a new dashboard and a variety of FAQs. Holders will stake their potatoes without transferring their tokens, similar to moonbirds nesting. Earn tickets for the weekly prize draw and evolve them into this next stage. The 9gag CEO also confirmed a recently created Twitter account, Petsland, is related to Memeland, but did not share any other details. Expect potatoes staking to go live sometime this week.
Pudgy Penguins pick toy store representatives. Holders were welcome to submit their penguins to be considered for use in the first collection of Pudgy toys a few weeks ago. The team has selected which penguins will be part of the collection, all of which will be directly licensed from holders who own their IP. Alongside this announcement, the team airdropped the second Soulbound token. This token, called a Pengu Pin, was airdropped to the 16 penguin holders chosen to participate in the toys collection. The Pudgies are leading the way in creating on-chain identity with Soulbound tokens, and price go up recently too.
Altered State Machine begins minting Gen 2 brains. ASM, one of the leaders in AI-infused NFTs, released their newest feature yesterday. Holders can now mine Gen 2 brains by combining ASTO and LP tokens. Those who entered the genome mine the first production cycle in June can now mint their brains, while others can enter the production mine now and mint brains after mining for 60 days. ASM is an intricate ecosystem with a variety of moving parts. Check out the links in this post to read more. Sudo Inu and Sudolets headline the Sudo meta. After a weekend of debates regarding SudoSwap's lack of royalty fees for artists, a variety of Sudo-themed projects took off on the AAM marketplace. Sudo Inu is exactly what it sounds like, an altcoin LARPing as an NFT, complete with matching token art for the whole set. Sudolets are a bit more interesting, a bizarre collection of geometric Pokemon-esque beasts. There isn't a whole lot to either project yet, but their success has already spawned a variety of copycats hoping to entertain those who missed out. If you hadn't heard of SudoSwap by now, you certainly will after this week.
All right, and now we're going to switch over to upcoming launches. First, we have Finalier. It's a living NFT that gets sad when you lose money. When Ethereum goes up, Finaliers are happy. Price oracles allow them to respond to fluctuations in the performance of their underlying currency. Their designs range from miniature knights to personified elements of fire and rain. Ed Fornelise, an artist who usually works with more traditional means, imagined the concept while at a residency program in 2016 and released the first 1,800 out of the 10,000 total collection in January. The allow list mint takes place Thursday at 12 p.m.
That's Thursday, August 18th.
Huxley expands Avatar selection with Humans collection. The big budget sci-fi universe will release its second Avatar collection in phases starting August 17th. Each Huxley robot holder can claim one human, while the remaining 1,000 tokens can be claimed in exchange for one Genesis token. Genesis tokens were acquired by Burning Comics, and check out more of their tokenomics at the bottom of the page 1 as well.
Ranga will hold a raffle for their remaining supply this weekend. Holders of the Art of Seasons by artist Dirty Robot first received their Ranga black boxes about 2 months ago. During that time, the team has begun crafting the Ranga universe through a comic on Twitter. On Friday afternoon, Premint will hold a raffle for the remaining supply of 2,500 tokens. The raffle closes at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard on the 19th, and winners will be drawn on the 20th of August. While Dirty Robot and their team haven't yet announced a reveal date, one hopes it will be relatively soon following the mint.
Utes do things differently, from allow lists to customizations. And now for the rare Solana project. From the Gods team comes Utes, a project that has opted for iteration instead of imitation. While other projects reward those who grind on Discord, Utes has created a scholarship application for potential holders. Connect your wallet and Twitter, answer a few questions, and wait to see if you're selected. They've also set out to reimagine avatar customization and ownership through the Utes store. Artists can submit custom traits to the Utes store where, if chosen, they will be sold for a limited time, with artists collecting a percentage of the sales revenue. This concept is still being worked out, but you can read more of their ideas on page 1, and Utes will cost 375 Dust, the God's native token. We're actually going to have a more in-depth discussion on that later on in this episode.
And in lieu of the usual market analysis, this week I talked about SudoSwap. SudoSwap, the on-chain marketplace. SudoSwap is an on-chain AMM marketplace. It functions similarly to Uniswap or any other decentralized exchange. Tokens are placed in a pool and balanced in accordance with that pool's rules. Pools can have a linear or exponential structure, and a few other factors impact the performance of each particular pool. The marketplace was launched in early July and has gotten some buzz lately.
Over the past week, Sudo has seen about 13,000 transactions, accounting for 4,000 ETH in total volume. Over 4,000 traders used SudoSwap for the first time this week, about half of their all-time users. Compare these numbers to X2, Y2, the marketplace currently leading the race for second place, which saw 8,000 ETH of volume from 40,000 transactions. While Sudo may not keep up in this pace, it's easy to imagine them becoming a true competitor, especially considering they've not yet been integrated with aggregators like Gem and Genie.
SudoSwap also has a lot of growing to do, both on the technical side and the community side. Since someone must make a pool before a collection can trade on Sudo, many collections aren't available there. Over the weekend, users participating in mints through Sudo piled up failed transactions, whether this is due to user error, pool design errors, or backend issues. It reemphasized that NFT AMMs are still rather uncharted territory that might need some patching up. Still, it will be exciting to watch this develop over the coming months.
Changing topics to other stuff that happened this week in NFTs. G Money discussed his upcoming luxury fashion label with Vogue Business. Premint implemented 2 changes to reduce botting. Proof Grails 2 claims went live the other day. And Shinsi Galverse published their latest edition of their manga.
And in general news, Ethereum merge is scheduled for September 15th, 16th. Gem plans to add SudoSwap in the next rollout of upgrades. Magic Eden by ApeCoin proposal ruffles some feathers. Pinata, an NFT infrastructure company, raises $21.5 million. PwC publishes a 2022 Metaverse survey, and OpenSea introduces new policy for stolen assets. If you enjoyed this and you want to learn more, obviously go to page 1. You'll see the link in the show notes. But thank you for sticking with us so far. Guys, how's it going? There was a lot there. Welcome to the pod. How did that run through go?
It was all right. It kind of felt like popcorn reading at times, like in a classroom, but then at other times, I kind of liked it. So, I don't know. It's something.
It's something for sure.
Yeah, no, I mean, I thought it was obviously, another a few more down the line to get a little smoother, but I think throwing in prices and mint price and current price would be helpful as well. But it was it's good to get it out there.
Yeah, for sure. But now, want to do a round table. We have a couple of different topics to cover. First up is the ETH merge. Before we get into that, do you guys say ETH or ETH when you talk about
I always
the
say
team?
ETH.
ETH.
Yeah.
I honestly, just a quick topic. I was actually last week while I was at work, I was kind of just sitting during lunch and had a very, very important thought on actually how it was pronounced. And I always pronounced Ethereum as well, but then I really took a big grasp on how it was actually pronounced and the wording for it. So now I'm trying to get into the habit of actually calling it ETH, whereas
ETH?
it is
Wait, why?
pronounced Ethereum. Because if ETH would be double E, and if you're saying Ethereum, then it makes sense. But ETH is actually ETH.
Low IQ take.
So yeah, I don't worry. I could vouch for you there because I always used to call it ETH as well, but I'm starting to change it up now. So Breaker had it all on us early from calling it ETH from the beginning. So you got that one, Breaker.
All right. Well, the merge is coming up, and I think we all have some opinions on what's going to happen. But if you've been reading Round Tripping, which is also a page 1 newsletter, Tolks has been giving us a lot of analysis. Tolks, what do you think we can expect from the ETH merge, and what's your overall sense of everything that's going on?
Oh boy, that's a big question.
Okay.
I think
Take your time, or you can,
No, I mean, there's obviously like a high level, mid level, low level, and then there's kind of you have ecosystem plays outside of that, downstream effects, etc. But overall, I think it's obviously a massive event. It's something that's been in the works for 5 years, and people have thought it was within like 6 months, as late as like a year and a half ago. People were talking about it, and now it's actually here. So it's going to be a little bit chaotic, I think, as far as the first few blocks, the actual transition of the consensus protocol from proof of work to proof of stake. Currently, it looks like the ETH proof of work chain, the fork that's going to try and be live, is going to have the same chain ID as the new Ethereum proof of stake. So that can cause, it's going to cause a lot of chaos. So I would highly advise everyone to just kind of observe without making any transactions in the first several blocks to several hours to potentially days if there's any hiccups at all. Because obviously everybody's inclination is going to be, I have these new fork tokens in my wallet, and I will just dump them for USDC or USDT or ETH. And there's a lot of various attack vectors that can happen there, that happened with Ethereum Class 6 merge or fork when they had that a few years ago. So at a high level, that would be my first thing that I would harp on, is just wait and watch and do not do anything in the first couple hours unless you are an extremely smart market participant. Outside of that, I mean, we've seen you can pull up a chart of ETH and you can see the response to the successful Gurley merge. So there's obviously a ton of people that not people, I mean people, market participants, funds, uh
Anons.
yeah, anons, everyone in between was clearly very excited and waiting on that last merge testnet. We saw ETH put in that candle going to up to 2K right above it. So it's obviously a massive event.
I
We're
think it's
still a month away.
unprecedented, right?
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, I mean it's been described for a while as essentially, you have it would be like having a 747 in the air and you're trying to change the engine at the same time without affecting the flight is kind of what it's been described as.
And Turbo, I know you've had some thoughts in the NFT general channel. Where do you stand on the experience we're about to go through?
But one of the things that I have kind of been talking about and discussing mostly is like, what are we going to do with all these proof of work NFTs if that's a thing? And
That's
so the other day I
a
was
great thought.
the other
I
day I was
mean,
messaging Tolks and I was like, am I even gonna be able to sell this like on OpenSea? And so we don't really know. Yuga just said something today, the 17th, about their policies around the merge. I haven't read it yet. I'm about to go look. But there's kind of, I don't know, there's a lot of interesting factors at play, like even just outside of the general technical aspects of Ethereum. It's like, it's going to be a weird week or two after, just in
mhm.
terms of like, because these ETH proof of work NFTs, you're not going to be able to buy those on OpenSea. But I I'm just curious to see how all of this is handled. And then,
Hey, would you be able to trade a proof of work NFT to the proof of stake chain? Like, would you be able to bridge it?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I would
But it
say
would it
that's
would
yeah, highly implausible. I don't think
question for somebody much smarter than me.
no, I think maybe eventually, but I think all of the incentives to the people aligned with the transition to proof of stake wouldn't. I mean, there's nothing they can do if somebody puts up a bridge, but I just don't think that the value is going to be there in the first few blocks, and that's what it would have to be to extract the maximum value for transferring over NFTs. Like I said, the first few blocks are going to be they're going to be extremely chaotic, I think. And there's going to be people rushing to potentially dump either tokens or NFTs on that they got essentially clones of on the proof of work fork. And like I said at the top, like it's going to lead to a lot of uh, a lot of mistakes and potentially lost funds. So I would highly advise against trying to chase picking up, a couple hundred USDC or zero point 0.1 or zero point 0.2 ETH for something that you think is valued at that when it does happen.
And so Yuga says they're only recognizing proof of stake apes. So the war with POW apes has officially begun. And I was gonna say, and we probably don't need to get into it because I could talk about it for a while. The most interesting NFT collection to watch during Emerge and after, by far, is Nouns.
Nouns?
Yeah.
Why nouns?
I'm like not technical enough to fully answer all the questions that I have about it. It's like, are there going to be different nouns being made every day on the other chains if there's fork?
You're saying because Nouns they have the auction every day that's
Yeah, there's a
coded
new
into
noun every day.
into the smart contract that every 24 hours, which equates to block time in the contract, that's when a new noun is put up for auction. And yeah, like Turf said, I mean that could cause I don't think I've seen anything on that. And like you said, with Yuga coming out and saying that they won't support the proof of work tax, and then USDC made a statement that they only support USDC on proof of stake chain, that's why it's going to be so chaotic, is that essentially a lot of the decisions come down to kind of on an exchange to exchange basis, collection to collection, and you can see the scenarios where there's fighting on each side, and there's people that may hold certain tokens, NFT collections, etc., that would be more aligned with miners, either through business connections or personal investments and mining infrastructure and things like that, and they'll have every incentive in the world to try and get a double on the other side, or potentially fight for that side being the quote unquote like legitimate side.
Right.
So
do you think they're gonna pull some shit?
yeah. Yeah. I mean, they'll be Justin Sun has already said that they're gonna put the Tron stablecoin, they're gonna support the proof of work chain. And I mean, the thing with crypto is that, at every opportunity that people can have, whether good or bad, scammers or not, to make a profit, they will. And there's going to be a ton of profits and MEV strategies and things along that nature and scams around the merge that are going to profit a lot of people. So it's going to happen regardless, because there's incentive for it, because people are going to make money.
And I just had another question kind of relating to how Yuga Labs is only going to be supporting in terms of proof of work and just the chain and everything. Could we possibly see, again, as Yuga Labs being one of the bigger just companies and just projects in general within the NFT ecosystem, could we see most projects also following this and maybe also changing the whole consensus of just NFTs in general, and possibly even adding a different catalyst towards them when they do change the proof of stake?
I think most NFT collections will follow that. And really, I think the more interesting opportunity is for collections that don't. Not because you're going to do something productive or really innovative or interesting, but because it gives you an opportunity to like plant yourself as a flag for the people who are going to try to say that proof of work is the true Ethereum. And so, I mean, I fully expect to see every project issue a statement like that. You almost don't even have to, at least in my mind. But I do also expect to see, like, I don't know, a collection that you've heard of before be like, no, we're staying on ETH proof of work. We love miners.
Yeah, I think it's difficult in the sense that most collections, most tokens, protocols, etc. The majority of the holders are aligned with ETH, the proof of stake chain. But we're also, markets they've recovered a lot since the bottom, but a lot of things fell apart. You had the Luna collapse. I mean, there could be a lot of developers from that chain. There could be developers of DeFi 2.0 protocols, things of that nature, that see this as an opportunity to build on the ETH proof of work chain, because there's going to be little infrastructure, but there's still going to be there's going to be some infrastructure. So there'll be people trying to capitalize on that opportunity. I mean, if Uni is worth, say, I'm trying to pull up what Uni's market cap it is now, but let's see, fully diluted valuation 8 billion. So, I mean, if you end up being, I mean, a $500 million fully diluted value protocol of a Uni fork on the proof of work chain, like, that's not necessarily anything to scoff at. And there'll be people fighting over trying to develop those protocols on the proof of work chain, I think. So that's where it comes. Like I said, it's gonna be a little chaotic. But NFT collections, I think, are a little different, just in the sense that most everybody is aligned with Ethereum, and there's not as much maintaining to the contracts and protocols that go on. And it would be in every, especially for collections that are over, some threshold 1-2 ETH, it would be in their best interest to align with whatever the founders, or like in Yuga's case, like holders wouldn't go against what Yuga wants. So I think majority of NFT collections will be all right in that sense, but there still will be the fight for, again, like, even if it is say 2 to 5% value for an NFT collection on the proof of work chain, I mean, that's still worth something, right?
Yeah. I
So
mean,
that's where I think the, not necessarily like fighting, but that's where whatever that percentage that they are worth, end up being worth, that's where the discrepancies will come in. I mean, if you have a 10 ETH collection and, it ends up being at 3% of the proof of stake collection on the proof of work chain, I mean, it's still, I mean, zero point 0.3 ETH it's not a lot, but it's certainly not zero.
right. I like that kind of thinking. What I think about too is like all the other chains like Phantom, Avalanche. It's one of the other ones. Obviously, Polygon is very closely related to ETH, but they're all on board with the staking chain as well, right? So some of these like Omni chain, like Stargate, isn't that one of
Mm-hmm.
them?
Yeah.
They're gonna be participating with the proof of stake chain, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, pretty much everybody will be. Like, I don't think that's any debate, but like I said, I think it's more, the question more arises around what percent the proof of work chain compared to the original ends up settling at value wise. Because I think we're at the point now where there's been enough. I mean, we're still a month away. There still could be, there's still going to be some some fighting going on from the proof of work side, but it's clear that the value isn't, like, the chain's not going to go immediately and everything on there immediately to zero. Like I said, there's been, you had the Luna collapse, like you mentioned, Phantom, and there's been a ton of projects that in this collapse have, kind of fell to nothing, and there's going to be, opportunistic people trying to go over there and make a few dollars. So that's what the question comes down to in my mind, is what percent of the proof of stake chain does the proof of work chain value at? And I think it's pretty clear that it's not going to be zero. So we'll see where it settles at. But that's the main question in my mind.
Definitely excited to see, honestly. I feel like in the end, from whatever accusations anyone can make, I feel like everyone just still has that big excitement and still a big question on to see what's going on. So I feel like everyone still has that little bit of excitement to see how things are going to play out in the end.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I mean, it's been long awaited, and I'm extremely excited to see Ethereum on the proof of stake side. But again, like I said, those first few blocks are gonna be it's gonna be a lot of fun for the people involved. I will be sitting on the sidelines because I'm not smart enough to take advantage of the opportunities that will present themselves. But you see random tweets about, MEV took this much ETH on this much transaction, and all these really intricate smart contract level.
Yeah, you have to be able to write a script to be able to participate, it
Yeah,
feels like.
you need even more than that, honestly. But yeah, there's just going to be it's going to be a lot of fun. But with that, all of that being said, I don't think there's any concern about, the ETH proof of stake chain coming out, fully functional and looking to the future on the other side.
You know, we talked about the pseudo swap in the news and notes for page one, but we also mentioned that Gem plans to add pseudo swap in their next rollout of upgrades. We have Magic Eden working with ApeCoin. You also noted that X2Y2 is the second largest NFT marketplace right now. There's so many different marketplaces out there. They're talking about the GameStop one. We have the Coinbase one. Tervo, you were sharing some thoughts on decentralized marketplaces when we kind of turn the podcast on. What do you think needs to happen to get to that point?
I really think it's just so it's partially, and like I said in the post, it's partially on the technical side, and then it's partially on the community side. And by that, I didn't really mean the pseudo community, but the NFT community as a whole. And so pseudo has worked well for me. I've probably sent, I don't know, a couple dozen transactions. It's worked well. It's not worked well. It's been broken. Price of the pool has gone up very quickly. It's gone down very quickly. And people are still just like experimenting and figuring things out. Like Pseudonauts is came out yesterday from Brent, the dog picture guy from CT, and it's just interesting in the way that the whole pool is functioning and valuing these NFTs. It's also, and so Pseudonauts minted on SudoSwap, so all of the NFTs started in the pool, And so for most NFTs, it's not gonna be like that. And it's like I'm just curious how long it'll take before we have like, 100 listings for like the whole top 10 NFTs on SudoSwap.
Gotcha. I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I think it's still rather new, but decentralization is what people want in the end. We also go kind of do this cycle where we have decentralization, then we move back to centralization, then we go back to decentralization. So it seems like that's kind of the move that's happening right here. I think it also comes down to where are people gonna go look for their NFTs. If these NFTs get onto Gem, I think you'll see more of that, right? But also, where are they going to get listed first? If it makes more sense for someone to list them on SudoSwap, then they're going to do that, and that's where we're going to see the newer NFTs being sold, and people will maybe flock there. I think it kind of will go where the people are going. No?
Yeah, and so what we've seen specifically this week, it's like volume on Sudo has blown up this week. And so what I've noticed is that it's mostly it's not exactly the people who are involved in all different sides of NFTs. And it's like I always just am absolutely blown away by the diversity of communities, and it's like my favorite example is V Friends because they're a huge collection, but like personally I don't have a lot of friends who are like super into V Friends. And it just goes to show that like I'm looking at things all day and I'm not seeing nearly all of it. But so the people on SudoSwap this week and the projects launching have seemed to me largely detached from much of the other NFT community. And this is the tell. All of the groups are on Telegram. This is literally altcoins with pictures attached.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
so
that's what I was going to say. I think you're alluding to it's what Sudo has done well is we're all familiar with, like the meme of crypto Twitter NFTs, DeFi NFTs, pretty much pump once and go to zero. What I think Sudo has done well is that it's really kind of mixed you see people from like the strictly NFT side and then the token DeFi side, and there's an overlapping kind of Venn diagram of people excited about it. And that's kind of, to me, it's a signal just because it's kind of been the first time that it's really, really happened in that way, at least in my opinion. It's where you have deep technical people, decentralization people, like mainly token traders. And then you have the NFT people who are kind of both excited about what it enables. And that's kind of a first to me. And regarding like any type of NFT infrastructure, NFT protocol, collection, etc. And obviously, some of that can be fake and pumping their bags, whatever. But I still think that is some type of signal in my mind.
So what's to say, just to play devil's advocate, like I agree, they're tapping into an entirely new demographic, and that demographic, it's pulling from those DeFi people. It's also exciting us NFT nerds. What's to say that's not just a flash in the pan and that liquidity will soon get dried up and then SudoSwap will be a thing of the past?
So I was reading a couple things yesterday and just doing some thinking on my own. And so I would say that, so yeah, the thing that I thought of that made me realize that Sudo is a very viable option for a survivor as a marketplace, because it's like, we've got at least three marketplaces now, two aggregators, three pooling sites, et cetera, et cetera. There's a million options. But if you can own a bunch of NFTs, own 30 NFTs from a collection, and you've been wash trading them on LooksRare XTY2 to earn rewards, why would you continue doing that if you can put them in a pool and earn a yield that might be competitive with that? Probably is, I would guess, and not have to wash trade your NFTs every day. Another thing like that I was thinking about, why, and so I actually asked the question to myself. I was like, what happens if 50% of your collection is in a pool? Like, what happens to your community? Like, who are your holders really? Since they're they belong to somebody. There's somebody who's providing the liquidity, but that person probably isn't using them as a profile picture or identifying with them because they can pull them out and end up with whichever ones. But who's to say that like Dingaling or other like massive whales in space who own like, whether it's 300 H or 100 Azuki or this, that, the other thing, like who's to say they wouldn't want to provide liquidity for the community and earn yield from it?
Sure.
I
And
think
so I
that's
think if they'll
exactly what
just
people would want to do.
exactly, yeah. And it's like because there's a certain level of like, I don't know, that just goes together in my mind, to have like Dingling providing liquidity for apes on like in the pool. It's like
Mhm.
I think of that and I'm like, oh no, yeah, that sounds right.
Well, for
And go on.
just really quickly, like I've said this before on previous pods, but I think that earning interest and pooling your assets is just going to be like a flip of a switch for a lot of people, where it's just going to be done automatically when with whatever assets you have. Because why would you not be earning interest on whatever you're holding, right? If you can.
Mhm. And so that was one of the things that I thought about, and I was like, oh yeah, no, this could work. Lower fees is competitive. I mean, I wrote about in June and July when volume was driving away from Looksrare into X2Y2 because X2Y2 had like 1% less fee. And it's like these are things that genuinely do drive volume. If it's not just in wash traders, it's not just in wash traders. It's you can save zero point 0.1 ETH if you want to sell some for 10 ETH, or you can feel like you're making something if you want to sell something for zero point 0.01 ETH. And where was I going? One of the other things was
Yeah. If you just
no, I
collect your
know. I'm
thoughts,
just
you know, fine.
I can hop in and give you a second, Terv. I think as far as what you're asking about with what gives it staying power, I've kind of been, reading everything possible about it. And one of the best kind of use cases or immediate product market fits that I saw opined about was as we see like an increasing NFT rush to, providing some type of utility, whether it's like access to some club, some Discord, some trading group, some in real life thing, some golf course, et cetera, et cetera. Sudo, you could mint like a collection and you don't have to initially say like 1,000, 5,000 people have to buy it, otherwise the NFTs are momentum assets, and if they don't take off from the get-go, you can just say you're going to mint 1,000 of them, and then people can buy in, and there can be an offer to sell that is always on the collection. And say like for instance, you can look at the information token collection, and the floor was previously, I don't know, before the Gabagool stuff was, say like 40 ETH, and you go to the activity on OpenSea, and the last sale was 4 days ago, then before that a month ago, and then before that 2 months ago. So if you wanted instant liquidity, there would always be an offer on that. And a lot of the kind of niche, utility passes, access things, some of those are really highly valued, like Proof Collective. And I think we'll see a continued mixing of, NFTs to real life access, online access, et cetera. And the fact that people can have an offer floor and you can immediately sell into that is it's just hasn't been available before. And I think that use case, and I mean, I'm pretty certain, at least in my mind, that the utility aspect of NFTs is just going to continue to grow and expand in the future. And I think that right there is something that wasn't possible before SudoSwap, to immediately have something liquid to sell into. And that's obviously stipulating that there is some level of demand and some offer for that is sitting. I mean, it could be if the floor is 14 and there's an offer for 8, like you need the liquidity, like, you'll just sell right into it. But that to me
Yeah.
makes a ton of sense.
Those are totally fair responses, and I don't necessarily kind of espouse the idea that SudoSwap is a flash in the pan. I just wanted to see what y'all's response was, and I to that point of kind of immediate or instant liquidity, I think that it will probably be a big boon for people who were too timid to join NFTs for fear of illiquidity or just holding onto a worthless JPEG.
Yeah.
So
No, definitely. Yeah. I mean, it's always good to take the other side of the conversation. And I mean, we'll see obviously how it plays out. It's difficult, market environment to launch something into. And I do think, people quoting that they did, what was it, like 14% of OpenSea's volume? I mean, that was kind of
It was really impressive, honestly.
it.
I
I
was
was
very
gonna say,
impressed. I didn't think the numbers that high. I
see, I
wrote an
was gonna,
article about it, and then the
yeah,
next day I was like, "Wait, the numbers are that high?"
yeah. I mean, I was gonna take a little bit other side of that just because, I mean, it was kind of like a, there's a ton of crypto Twitter people excited about it, DeFi people, and like some of the collections are obviously like they're gonna go to zero, but the fact that it can facilitate that amount of volume
Right,
is good. And I mean,
so
it's new too. I mean, they have a ton
and
of.
to
I
the
think they have
point I
five
was
devs.
making. Sorry, I'm interrupting you
Oh, you're
actively.
good. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Um, like earlier, this volume isn't volume that would come in otherwise. This is 14% of OpenSea's volume that I would guess 95% of that volume, okay, 75% of that volume is coming from people who aren't participating on OpenSea.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's what I was alluding to earlier. It's a mix of the different, kind of ecosystems in crypto.
What do you think the sentiment is in NFT general? What's your kind of sense of the users?
I think I'm the only person who's, okay, not the only person, but almost the only person who's made money on them. We've missed like all of them. So, and I literally just bought Sudo nuts. And the only thing we've done so far is buy things that go down and fail transactions. So it's probably pretty mixed. But I think once you start using it, you like just kind of get the feel for it versus regular marketplaces. And it's not like it's that different or it's that good or that impressive, but it's just it makes you think in terms of what it could do. But yeah, in terms of the technical side, it's like we still have a long way to go. Like you can't like select, as far as I know, you can't like select an independent token. There's, it takes loading problems and this and that. The front end's gone down a couple times, and I mean they're not a huge operation yet, so we'll see. I'm just excited. It's just yeah, it's just for me. It's like I just love when interesting things pop up because it's like, oh, okay, I'll see that in like a couple weeks, and they'll be doing something.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. And I mean, especially while, we're kind of in a decreased volume across NFTs and tokens, like some type of new protocol that, and I mean, to their credit, they've also been working on it for a couple years, if not at least like a year plus. So any type of innovation there that can potentially make things, better, more liquid, give people a new avenue to launch through. The fees are less. There's a ton of pluses there that we haven't. It's always kind of it's short sighted to just dismiss something without giving it the chance to at least iterate a time or two. And that's where I think we're at. I think we're in the first evolution of what we're seeing through launches through SudoSwap, what it can enable, and it's going to take another 1, 2, 3 iterations maybe before we actually see something, and then that's where it's like holy shit. And that's typically the way things work in crypto. So
That's for sure. And thank you for putting a bow on that. That was nicely done. Want to move on to the last bit for this pod. We wanted to highlight a project that was discussed on page one, and we chose Utes, which is a Solana project. Tervo, how did you discover this one? Where did you pull this one out of your ass from?
I don't know. I saw it a while ago, and so it's from the D Gods guys. So they're Frank D Gods is like the founder, and I really am just I don't follow Soul NFTs almost at all. It's like it's a foresight of mine or oversight. But D Gods, I mean, Soul D Gods have caught in my eye. They have that Solana profile picture feel, but like I actually think they're cool. And then they have like this whole thing with I forget what it's called. You can swap it to like basically it's mutant form, but it's the same token. So it's only one token, but you can switch between like your mutant and your regular DGod. And so they had started it a little while ago, probably in June or May, and it was originally called Duppies, but there wasn't any information on it really about like what was going on. And probably a month or so ago, they just started. They changed into Utes, and then I think this week was the first time they've shown any of the art and talked about any of the real ideas. And so they rolled out this application, called a scholarship application, instead of a whitelist. And so you go on the website and fill out the scholarship. You connect your Phantom wallet and answer some questions, and there's a little bit of design that you can do and such, and then they'll just pick people. And so I've seen some really cool ones on Twitter.
Yeah, I'm
Like
looking at some
people
of them
just,
right now. They
yeah,
are.
they're just getting like inventive and stuff. And it, to me, it feels a lot less like, when you used to go into like the Hape Discord and see somebody like just going way over the top doing like American Ninja Warrior in their backyard with like a Hape tattoo. And the mods are always like, oh, be creative with your submissions. Like, oh, maybe walk across a wire in between these two tall buildings while yelling her name. And so compared to all of that, it's like the scholarship felt really easy. And it was cool to see that. And then they have this. Does anybody want to comment before I talk about this marketplace?
I want to ask what questions. I couldn't find my fucking Phantom password, and that's a separate issue for me. But what type of questions did you answer on the scholarship? Because I agree. I also don't appreciate the sometimes negative IQ things that I've had to do to get on a Discord whitelist.
Yeah, I kind of forget. It was more so like how can you like I don't know. I feel like they're kind of trying to build like a syndicate like DAO, and it was like how can you like contribute?
Like what
There
do you
was
have to
like eight,
contribute?
yeah, there was
Yeah.
like 8 to 10 options, like like a writer, like artist, like protocol specialist, et cetera, et cetera. And then you would click that, and then it would be like you know just questions going off of what you selected from that. And I mean, it literally took like a minute.
Oh, interesting. But like essentially, it's asking what value can you provide us as well.
Yeah, yeah, I think that was kind of the main main aspect there.
Does everybody
So
use Phantom wallets? Is that the wallet of choice for Solana? I feel like I don't
yeah,
talk to a lot of people who
I
use
think
Solana.
so.
I use Phantom.
Well, I think you can sign in with any wallet. I just said
Yeah,
Phantom wallet.
Phantom's good.
No, no, I mean it seems to be the most popular one.
Yeah, because I mean they got hacked like a couple of weeks ago, and it was a huge deal. I mean, what was that last week? God.
Yeah,
Yeah, but that was related to something else that just
it was
happened to use Phantom wallets.
it was the slope wallet, and there was actually a few addresses on that never interacted with Solana that were affected on ETH as well. It was kind of like an iOS backdoor thing. It was really, really, really weird. But anyway, back to Utes. When I was proofreading the page one to send it out, and I click it, and I'm like, this is from the creators to gods, and my entry to like the NFT entire ecosystem was on Sol, and I had like I don't know 13, 14 to gods at some point, and I think I sold them all for like 6 Sol, and they're way 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 more than that now. I would have to do the translation of
Wow, so you
what each
paid the
one was
paper
worth.
hand bitch tax.
See, that's what it was. They announced that,
Dude, they
and they
seemed like
like
a scam and
uploaded,
they
dude. They
minted.
uploaded a document, and it was like a Word, like a Google Doc, like, and that's it. And it was like it seemed like a crazy person's manifesto of like how they were going to build the protocol and stuff. And like there's a paper and bitch tax, and anybody who like lists under
It
the
was
floor,
amazing
like it's
in
thirty three
retrospect.
point three percent less. And I was like, you know what, fuck this. I was like, I'm out. Like I'm literally liquidating all this. This is going to zero. Didn't even think about it again for maybe 8 months. And then I don't know what's the translation of the floor price on one of them now. Like
It's
it's
fine.
like
It's only
10K,
eleven
isn't it?
thousand dollars. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
only
yeah,
$11,000.
yeah. So anyway, I think I sold them all for I don't know, maybe a grand total. So I was pretty upset when I saw that that's what it was. I was like, you have to be kidding me. Because I literally oh
Dude,
man,
and so
it was
like
insane.
that's one of the things that I like kind of love about like Frank D Gods now, the founders. Like
Oh yeah.
I don't know, I don't want to call them the Bored Ape Yacht Club of Solana because like I
I
don't
think
really
it's like
know, but like they
I think
kind
you
of are
can. Yeah, I think you
at
can
least this
now.
week.
Yeah.
Okay, Bears were it for like 2 weeks,
Yeah.
but apparently they're done for. I don't know, but Frank is just like so personable. Like he just seems like a
Oh,
guy.
yeah, well, I will tell
Like
you when you were invested in the project early, and
Oh yeah, no,
I had
you're
him
probably
on
pretty
I
well
had him on
known.
like notifications, and he wouldn't tweet anywhere near as often. It'd be like maybe once every 2 or 3 days, and I'm telling you, it was like that announcement was posted. And I read it, and I was like, I need to sell all this shit now before it literally goes to zero. And that obviously didn't
But
happen.
so,
But so
and
props
so
to
this
them.
is the most interesting part of the Utes, to me at least. So from their website, and so they have a picture on the website. It's like a little furry Chewbacca guy. He's got some sunglasses and a cigar and a puffer jacket and a crown. And in the bottom left corner, there's a link to the Y paper, which in typical, Frank and DGOT's fashion is a Google Doc. And so it's it's this little Y with a circle in it. It looks like a copyright symbol, except with a Y in it. Y is our common sense version of copyrights and ownerships for NFTs. And so it's basically they want to try to do this new copyright thing. And then, so they're going to create the Ute store where artists can submit their versions of traits so that you can go, if you're an artist, and make a custom trait out of the ones that they already have and put it on the store. And people can buy it, and you can choose whether it's the price or how many there are, how long it'll be available for minting, and people can go and buy it, put it on their Ute, and the artist gets a percentage of sales for off the royalties of all the commissions for the rest of the sales. And so it's kind of similar to what Doodles is going to do with Doodles 2 and all those assets they're going to turn traits into NFTs basically. But I thought it was really interesting just to let people make them. And then so 6 months after the collection comes out, no more traits will be published. So eventually they'll be rare. And all these ideas is, this is a Google Doc. Like, I don't think we're official yet. And so there's still not a lot of information on them. We don't have a date yet.
But
But
you think these are the ones? There's going to be one that's going to be a good one to get. This is the one, is what you're saying.
I mean, there certainly will be if you can from association with DGods. I mean, they're top 3 project on Magic Eden, no matter who you ask and what bags they hold. But I was just interested in what they were doing with this. It's like I try not to. Eventually, the price is it'll do what the price does. But I like seeing people do new things, particularly when they're things that I think somebody else is going to copy. And so we've almost half copied this from Doodles. Not really. It's similar. It's different. But this is an idea that I think we'll probably see again. And if it goes well, you might just see it everywhere. Who knows?
Yeah.
And then how much is 375 dust? What is that in Solana terms?
I think
I think it's like $700 or so.
I think last time I looked earlier today, it was like 1.6. It's at exactly 1.5 now for dust.
1.5.
So, well, 150.
Okay, so yeah, it's like $600.
Yeah. So that'll be the mint price too. So, it's a little expensive, but I would agree with everything that the Terv said, that it's I'd say one of the most promising collections coming out. And I think the Gods is trying to, whether it's obviously a different playbook, but kind of have like things underneath the Gods and an entire brand, kind of like how Yuga did. So I would
Yeah, and that part is really interesting just because like it doesn't say let me find the Twitter. It doesn't say like they're not exactly a dilutive project in the DGods ecosystem. Like I mean, they are.
yeah.
I'm gonna guess that they're gonna work together. DGods generate dust. I bet you'll probably be able to buy you accessories with dust. But like in the header, it says from the team that brought you DGods. So it's not, they're not exactly the same. I think that'll be interesting as well.
Yeah. I would say this went like as well as possible. Like I don't really think there's a scenario where this collection is more expensive than the Gods, because it would always flow back to like, well, they created the Gods and that's the original. You know what I mean? At least that would be my thought.
I tend to agree, but at the same time, I mean, like, when you think about like the origins of DGods and then the origins of this, it's like you go through this little scholarship and you like kind of tell them what you can do for them, and then we're gonna make this whole little new marketplace idea. It's like before Mint, it looks a lot better than the paper hand bitch tax.
But it's on Solana.
Yeah, I know. I'm never gonna touch it, but
I'll touch it. I
it's
mean,
cool.
if
No,
I
I'll
get
try.
accepted, I'll definitely, yeah. It's
Like,
wild. I mean, but
we were just talking about decentralized marketplaces and how awesome they would be, and then we have Solana, which basically like decides when it wants to work and not work.
Completely rude thing to say about Sam Coin.
yeah, he's always listening. No, I mean, I think that's it's fair. I mean, I still hold out hope for Solana in the long term, and they're doing a lot of improvements to free markets and scaling and this and that. But the criticisms are definitely valid. But I just think it kind of ties back to the second conversation about Sudo Swap. It's just some type of NFT collection that is doing something new and innovative. I think we should kind of, I mean, the spaces we're in the weeds every day. It seems like, been around for forever, but any type of new concept, whether it be protocol, NFT collection, token, etc., I think it's worthy to, as long as it's not like an outright scam or Ponzi, like it's worthy to give them the benefit of the doubt because we're still, in my opinion, extremely, extremely early in what all of the end state of all of these things looks like. So that's the way I look at it.
I mean, that's why I'm gonna be, holding my bags till I'm dead.
You and me both.
Just gonna hand it down to the next generation, huh? Is that the plan?
You can have
I
my hidden
agree. I
folder.
think we're incredibly early, man. We're
hidden folder museum.
Half of these projects talk about TV shows or trading card games or virtual worlds, that we're gonna go into. None of them have delivered those things yet.
Yeah, I think most of all that is, pretty much like a roadmap by my NFT thing.
Right.
And it just goes back to, I mean, even like if they wanted to do those types of things, like the infrastructure isn't necessarily there to even do those things. So yeah, I mean, I'm with you. It's definitely certainly a stupid meme. Like, it's early and this and that, but especially I would say like NFT wise, like I mean, there's going to be just drastic changes in a good way in what they come to represent and what they enable, at least in my opinion.
I just always think about like being in these virtual worlds, and you're gonna throw on your Nike monoliths, you're gonna put on your Azuki skin or your Bored Ape skin, and you're gonna hop between the other side and Horizon and carry your fucking loot bags and whatnot.
Loot bag. We had to bring up the
That's
loot
the
bag
goal,
some.
baby.
Yeah.
That's the goal. Yeah. No, you're describing my heaven.
Really, you want to retire in the virtual world?
No, absolutely not. I want everybody else to rent virtual property from me.
True.
And I'll retire in the real world.
I'm on board with that.
I'm on board with that too. But when the virtual property can be infinite, is it really worth it?
Hey, Mark Cuban.
I don't know. Honestly, like
you can own any virtual property, but not mine.
Yeah,
Makes it valuable.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why Other Deeds does so well, right?
Doing very well right now, yes.
Yeah.
Relatively speaking, it's down from like day one.
What was the other thing that I wanted to say? It was cool this week. There's really been everything's just been so dead. It's like writing page one is a literal
Well, it's
chore
summer vacation
right now.
Man. I think it's summer vacation. Everybody is just you're either building or you're enjoying the summer.
Yeah.
People want to take a break, I think.
I mean,
and so
yeah. Also going back to the ETH merge talk at the top, like I kind of think people are buying tokens too, and that's why. I mean, NFT volume has been trending down for a while, but I don't know. There's been a ton of token rotations recently too, and I think that's part of it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is a really good point. I feel like the hot wall of money moved from.
I can't wait for the merge themed NFT collections. They're going to be so good.
What if someone creates an NFT project that looks different on the different chains?
That could be interesting. Like a you choose type deal.
No,
You could
it has a look. It has a different look depending on what chain it's on.
There's been a couple of those, I think, but it just changes the background to represent what chain it
Okay.
was either minted on or transferred from.
Right.
But there's definitely, yeah, I mean, we'll see. That's another thing with NFTs too. When omni-chain liquidity and all that stuff has to work itself out as well. And same thing with, transaction fees go down with L2s emerging, and you still need to be able to have good liquidity from L2 to L2 and seamless bridging. And, there's a lot of stuff to work out before we can say that innovation is done.
Yeah. It will be exciting though. And like you said about the token rotations, I think people are also kind of, just being cautious too. Not trying to get into anything crazy before all this goes down.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see when it. Been trying to think of when the actual effects start taking place, because there's a lot of game theory, and if you expect that people will take profits, a week before, position themselves a week before, then all the major players are thinking that, and then they think, oh shit, well if I'm doing it, then the other major players are doing it, so maybe we'll do it 2 weeks before, and then well we should maybe be safe and front run that, and make decisions and position ourselves 3 weeks before, and all of a sudden we're coming pretty close to the date that we're currently at. So it's going to be an interesting month.
That's for damn sure.
personal predictions for the merge.
Ooh.
Price wise?
Yeah, I was going to say, and what dimension?
We need some oracles here. Yeah, no, price wise, we need some oracles here.
I think it's going to go down and then go up.
Go down and go up. Okay.
I think it's going to be the same type of trend that happened when Bitcoin forked.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I think that Ethereum POW will be worth approximately 1.5 Ethereum POS Tubby Cats.
Can't argue with Tubby Cats. Tokes?
I don't know. I kind of think I think we'll see maybe around 2.5 to like 2.8 up maybe a week or two before the merge. And then I think we'll dump a little bit just because we're already 100% plus off of what were the lows, and people are naturally going to take profits and sell the news. I think we'll go down maybe back to around 1,500, stay steady there for maybe a couple weeks, and then you'll start seeing like everybody on Twitter and all the threaders out like, this is why the merge didn't affect the ETH price. And then after that, it's just a steady grind back up to way higher levels. It's kind of what I'm expecting right now. But you also have to be, I mean, it's an extremely unfortunate fact, but everything is still very, very, very correlated to macro. So if something were to happen in that sense, then I mean, you can only have so many buyers for Ethereum if, macro were to go to shit or wars escalate, things along those nature. So those are democratic risks, but they're still risks. That's true. Oh man, that's insane. Well, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it just depends. We'll have to see. But if everything macro-wise was like steady, that what I said before would kind of be a little bit of a run up into like a week or two before, a little bit of a dump after, and then just a steady grind up.
Agreed. I actually largely agree with you, Tokes. I think one of the things that you brought up also is I'm very much not looking forward to all of the LARPs on Twitter that have 2020 hindsight after the fact and kind of have those long threads about what they knew.
Yeah.
Or supposedly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Everything's easier in hindsight,
For sure.
But yeah, I mean, either way, just to wrap everything up, I mean, it's going to be, it's a massive event, I mean, it's one of arguably, if not the biggest event like to happen in crypto since like really the genesis block of Bitcoin. So it's going to be, it's something to watch, I mean, if you have Anson, Kobe, things like that, the ability to see where a lot of smart traders are positioning themselves before and then after, and then if there's profits, rotating from the profits they have from the merge. Same thing with NFT collections. That would I would advise that as well because there's going to be a ton of shuffling.
Yeah, I gotta look into one of those. Good, that's a good point. I like that tip. Nansen, Icy, even like Origins, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, all those things. I mean, there's going to be I don't know. I mean, I obviously could always be wrong, but I think there's going to be a ton of chaos in the first
Well, I
hour or two.
Yeah, I could honestly see that happening a lot as well. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised on seeing how many tweets are just going to blow up on my feed based off of that as well. And just kind of all the meme culture just come back to life on just shit talking ETH on just that specific point.
Mhm.
Honestly, I wouldn't be too surprised on seeing that either. And honestly, honestly, just launching the price a little bit down just straight up from the get go right
Yeah,
after that happens too. But as you said earlier, you already knocked off all the points. But based off how the whole ethos is on how it's supposed to perform, definitely could see yeah, hard grind on just a gradual increase from after the first week or two from the merge. So hopefully that ends up playing out the way it does.
just talking really quickly before we end, when we mentioned kind of using IC and Nansen and stuff like that, maybe some of those tokens or some of those NFTs that you have to own in order to use those services will have a little bump as well as people kind of buy into them.
yeah. I could see that. I mean, there's been narratives, to play the merge. It hasn't really translated to NFTs yet, but I mean, you see all the like Lido and Rocket Pool and the liquid
Hmm.
staking solutions and L2s kind of take off, and there's been some money rotation there, but it really hasn't touched NFTs yet. So I'm not entirely sure which way it'll happen in the NFT ecosystem, but it certainly will. So I like that.
And that concludes another episode of Magic Hour, friends. If you like what you hear, please like and subscribe to our YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you can listen to your podcasts. You can also follow us on Twitter at Magic Hour Pod. All the links are found on our link tree, which is in the show notes. From all of us, we appreciate your support for Bridge World.